1, 2, 3, and 4. You're listening to Cinema Red Pill. I'm Sharon.
And I'm Timothy.
So this is episode 39 of Cinema Red Pill, and we've made a year doing podcasts, so that's super cool.
Hooray!
Just kudos to us. It's been a year and we're still going. I have a lot more planned. So, okay, on this episode we're going to talk about the Uganda Film Festival, which you said this is the fourth one?
The fifth, actually.
This is the fifth edition of the Uganda Film Festival. For one of our first episodes, we also did the Uganda Film Festival, the fourth edition last year. Yeah. So this festival actually marks a big point for the podcast, which is super cool timing for me to do this. Yes. And this time, of course, we'll be making comparisons to last time. Tim got to attend a bit more this time.
Yeah.
Things were really different this time. Actually, this festival, I really hope one day it surprises us somehow and blows our socks off with just being awesome in terms of arrangement, in terms of screenings, just the coverage of what they do, and maybe putting some emphasis on some things. Yeah. I really don't know what they've been going for, but they put a lot of effort. They make for flyers, they make advertisements, they
give awards.
They will always give awards. They'll always post. They always have a big gala at the end of the day and give people money, not just a plaque. People get money at the end of the day. But yeah, so I need to note that we are recording this on Thursday, the 31st. So that means we're recording before they do the gala, where the people are announced, the winners are announced, which will be tomorrow. So we don't know if we've watched the ones that will win. We don't know if we've...
Is it going to be tomorrow or tonight?
Tomorrow, Friday. Okay. It's on Friday tomorrow night. Yeah. So that's exciting. So the films, they show films on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at the four main cinemas here in Kampala. Yeah. This is Cinema Red Pill from Kampala. But they screen those films, then the award ceremony happens and they reward the nominees. The nominees were announced about a week earlier. Yeah. And the screenings were announced like a day before. So your planning window. I was actually worried that they were not going to show. Yeah. I was going to make noise
if they hadn't shown.
You can't have a festival and not show films. I was extremely worried. Anyway, I'm just glad this is kind of over, because seeing these films is hectic because of the time and the overlap of the good ones. Yeah. It's so frustrating. So I think let me start our discussion with what we're going to do. We're first going to talk about the film that we both saw, which is Kony, Order from Above, directed by Ayeny Steve. So I was interested in this film as soon as they announced that it was a nominee. I'm like, great, because I really wanted to watch it. My interest in this film really peaked when Ayeny Steve won the Best East African Talent Award for the same film, Kony, Order from Above, at the Zanzibar International Film Festival, and that award won him $1,000, which is really cool. And it just was getting an international award even before he got any acclaim from here. It just put a big green light on him. So I was dying to see the film, and I saw it today. Actually just came from seeing the film. And actually, before I set up the film, I actually don't know who is trying to focus on, because we have a story. So I don't know actually how to set up the story of this film, because it at times looks like it's focusing on a young girl who's an abductee and is taken up by Kony's people. Or sometimes it's set up by the director himself, who plays the role of Oti, one of the soldiers of Kony. Yeah. And you don't know if it's actually even about Kony. And the problem is these people are off the screen for a very long time.
Which people?
All of these characters. For a long time, we're not quite seeing
Yeah.
Oti, and we're not invested in his story. Then they bring up the lady, and we're into her story. Then they start focusing on Oti again. Then there's many moments they're really focusing on Kony. But I would debate it's not about Kony.
It isn't.
It's not about Kony. It's
Kony.
either about Oti or
about Oti and
or
Aguti.
Aguti.
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts by him taking over a school and raiding it and taking them up to a camp where Kony is. They make this whole initiation process of meeting Kony. Now Kony takes, not Kony himself, one of the soldiers takes a liking to Aguti.
Actually, actually in the beginning, I think she was his girlfriend from before.
Oti's
'Cause,
girlfriend.
they used to write
but
each other.
he's not the one who picked her. One of the other soldiers picks her out and takes a liking to her and tells her to go and meet Kony.
Yeah.
And Kony takes a liking to her because she rejects having sex with him on the first night and decides to marry her. And so we see this whole story of Aguti's... I don't want to relay the entire plot in the first line. Like we mentioned, Oti and Oguti were married before this. So we go through their contradictions between him wanting to escape, her trying to escape, and Kony as a man. They try to give us also this view of who Kony was as a man, and what his motivations were, and mostly about his belief in God and how he thought the Holy Spirit was moving him. That's actually a thing they push for in this film and try to explain why it was called the Lord's Resistance Army. Yeah. And the film tries to go deep into that. But yeah, so Tim, you can start on what you thought about the film, whatever you want to talk about.
Again, as you said, the film is called Kony, Order from Above.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, the weird thing was that the movie wasn't solely about Kony. Actually, Kony was a supporting actor in the movie. So I think maybe the whole title was a bit of also a marketing thing, because it has that, it can pull you want to see a movie about Kony. So the movie, I like its beginning, the opening, the archival footage that they use. They use all this old stuff showing like how Woton northern Uganda was back then, and people suffered under Kony. But then after that, that's when now, because the film is called Kony, Order from Above.
Yeah.
So I already knew about that whole thing of Kony saying that he's being pushed by the Holy Spirit to take up this war. So when I went to watch it, I was hoping to see maybe this would show us how maybe Kony, became Kony, and he got this order from above and took on this war, you get it? So when I reached there and actually watched the film, I was completely confused at first. But then after a while, I actually got into the story of Oti and this, as you say, the abducted Aguti, whereby Oti, who is one of Kony's one of the closest soldiers to him in the army, actually has this conflicting loyalty. Should he run away from the camp and Kony, and this whole thing is doing right now, because even his dad was Michael Senior was his dad, and there's a scene where he comes and tells him, "I'm very proud of you and what you're doing," and all that. So he has that thing of, should he leave this cause he's in right now, or should he run away with Aguti, who he happens to like very much? And it made for a compelling story, honestly, because you could always feel that danger. I liked the person my favorite actor, as I told you before, was the man who played Kony. I'm not sure about his name, I should check. I believe he was. I liked his performance.
Why?
I liked because, most Ugandan actors, I think, they have this thing to overdo the performance, like if you're playing a stepmother, people know what they're going to see. If you're playing, say, a warlord, like if I told you, like Beast of No Nation, you see Idris was playing the stereotypical warlord, you get. So Kony, I thought maybe this guy was going to come and just be slashing people all over the place, but he had this very calm, cool, sinister thing to him that took me off guard. I thought it was going to be an over the top performance, but it wasn't. It was really just, I think it's the performance actually that really made me stay, because the way Kony was portrayed in the film was very... They showed his cruelty. They showed him, like, the first time I think Aguti refused to sleep with him. They show him hang her like above on a tree, and there's like fire under her. Yeah. So I liked those. I think his role was portrayed in a very nuanced way. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't understated. We could still see this was a villain, but he didn't overdo his role like most Ugandan films do. And even in the festival, you saw how the villains were. They have this very weird way of talking. It's always over the top, So I liked the performance in that. Then I also liked. Again, I was going to speak about this later, but the cinematography for the film was good, just because people nowadays have things like drones and all that, and in a lot of the films we saw, there were a lot of drone shots.
People really have drones.
Maxed drones this time. I don't know. Every transition was a drone shot,
Now I hate transitions completely. I'm like,
exactly.
We don't need that.
I know. So they also did that in this film, but it wasn't overdone. And even the times when they used it, I could understand why they were using it. It wasn't just for the sake of a transition and all that.
Exactly.
And again, it was also showing off the landscape of northern Uganda, which was also very beautiful. So I liked the way it was shot, showing off how this war-torn area is actually quite beautiful beyond all this other ruckus that was going on. Yeah, but besides that, as I told you again, I had problems with I like the story, but it was maybe some of the technical stuff that I had a problem with.
But I really, like you said, this film wasn't complete. I think he rushed in the edit.
Exactly, and that's something weird I didn't understand. Like,
because
it's weird. Because, as we said before, his film showed in Zanzibar and it won an award. You get. So I don't understand if that's the version that showed in Zanzibar or if I'm not sure.
Can't be. The film, there's parts where you actually don't hear that. There's no sound of the words, and you just see the subtitles.
Exactly.
The subtitles are even wrong many times.
That's the thing there.
Then there's when the camera is framing on one person, the sound is clear. When it's framing on another person, it's completely bad.
Yeah.
So there's something wrong.
I don't understand also
that can't be a final cut. I'm not convinced.
I'm pretty sure
it can't be.
Might be.
It can't possibly be. I refuse to believe.
Because I don't think any filmmaker would actually, in the biggest festival in his country, would allow people to actually see something.
Any film person would see that their person's dialogue is not being heard.
Yeah.
And show it off without having pressures to show it off for some reason. Maybe he's up to something and doesn't have
Again, another thing I was going to talk about later, projection formats. I think maybe that's the problem, because again, in our cinemas, people are showing us stuff on VLC. It's not. So maybe the formats also, when they're translating to maybe the screen in the cinema, maybe something goes wrong, I think.
And he's looked much better than many of the other films. So I'm really
it was well shot. It was just maybe the issues of the sound that I had a problem with. But it was a well-shot film, had a compelling story. I sat from start to finish. Yeah, but as I say, the technical aspects and the way the title misled us a bit.
Yeah, this film is not about Kony.
It's not about Kony. It's actually about Oti and Aguti trying to...
Oti has first billing. I had to make sure to see who gets the first billing, and it's him. So maybe the film is about him.
Yeah, but again, as I said, order from above, I didn't
feel the order from above.
Unless maybe he was referring to maybe Oti in his situation, because a lot of the times you'd see Kony giving him orders, like because even Kony told him that now Aguti, this wife of mine, is in your care now. If she gets shot, I'll shoot you. Is it 6 times? I think that was their line.
If she gets shot twice, you shoot yourself 6 times.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so I want to start by the Kony guy. I do not agree with you, like, in the slightest. I found that performance understated. I get what you're saying, that people overdo the over-the-top thing. But this dude just felt like he was big lazy at the performance. It didn't even feel like he was doing it in a nuanced form. Like they told him, play Kony, but in a different way. Do him in a way people have never seen. First of all, he's a lanky, skinny guy. You think of...
Pretty much like Kony.
In the pictures he's always in a big coat, so I don't know if he's that lanky. Is he that lanky and skinny?
Yeah, he's skinny.
But when you look at the pictures of him, he looks like he has authority. This dude had no authority sense in him in any scene. Like, he would just do things lazily, like hold the gun. Even when he was holding a gun, it felt uncomfortable for me, the way he was holding it. So I didn't buy him as a Kony. I actually wished we had seen the other Kony film, Devil's Chest, because I would want to see what their version of Kony and how they thought he would be. And I wonder if it's the over-the-top one or not. I was even thinking Ayeny himself could have played Kony. and done it even better.
But I think why they picked this guy is because even there's a resemblance. I like the way they cast him.
It is there.
There's a resemblance.
There's quite a resemblance.
He kind of actually looks like Kony, which I actually would commend because I think they actually had to get someone who would fill the role.
I get that, but I found his performance really lazy. I was seeing it as an actor, someone who's probably not an actor. I would bet, and they picked him for how he looks and everything, but he just looked like he was gliding across the set and just being lazy about it, and just he had no authority. Like every time I would look and say, someone could just shoot this guy, and the also problem is they didn't set up Kony in a way for him to show how feared he was as a man, for you not to believe that any of the guys could have turned around and shot him in the head and moved on with their lives. They really didn't set it up, so I didn't buy him as who he was. And all those props you're saying of how they show his cruelty, like tying her up, those are all things his other people will do. They have this scene they have with where Kony is with the girl Aguti in the bedroom, and he tries to be intimate with her, and she first refuses. Then he glides the knife on her. I felt no intimidation. It even looked like romantic a romantic thing to do with a knife or something. So I was like, oh, I'm not buying this. But I get what you're saying, that this felt like a nuanced performance of Kony.
No, because
I kind of didn't buy it that way.
Yeah, because I feel, as you're saying, if he was going to be, say, go for that more authoritative kind of person, then he was definitely going to have to do more things that are over the top, probably.
Could he say something cruel calmly, though? Like, he doesn't have to shout like, ugh. He could have done... he just never seemed cruel.
No, but then like that line I just said of when he told him that if she gets shot twice, you shoot yourself.
It was lazy dialogue delivery.
No, actually, me that actually... It sounded real. For me, it sounded very... Like, I actually imagine Kony would tell someone that... I just
couldn't see how this man was feared. I wasn't buying it. I just wasn't buying it. And then...
No, but I think the thing that probably maybe why you didn't believe it was because, again, the film itself, the scale, because even Kony's soldiers, I think we saw 20 tops. Very few. No,
we didn't see 20. We saw 6.
We saw few, then there were like other abductees, you get. So, like, I imagine with that performance now, if you had like a crowd of like, say 500 people actually there, maybe like when he's speaking to them and they are cheering him on and all that, that would bring it out better. But it was like this guy who is very calm, and as you're saying, he seemed lazy with like 6 people in his camp, you get. So it didn't seem as intimidating or as scary, because when they're even walking the abductees, they clearly outnumbered these guys. Like, I was like, why don't these guys just like revolt and beat these guys? So maybe that was I think the scale of the film couldn't portray Kony in that glory, because even you saw that towards the end there was like a peace talk scene whereby
my god, that peace talk was one of the worst scenes. It was actually the worst scene. The Arab guy who they got was a terrible actor.
He wasn't Arab even,
he wasn't Arab. They just made him cover up. It was I hated that scene. That was not good. One of the worst scenes they had.
So I think that was maybe the scale of the film. Like, I think for it to be, because even you saw the battle sequences, there would be like one track, you see, one track, and the Ugandan army has come to attack them.
True.
So that was maybe the thing that I saw.
That's the best. I think production people don't have enough money. I can't
I can't fault him.
I can't fault them.
I believe with the resources he did,
he did a good job.
He did a good job, but as you're saying, in the production stuff, like we're saying, the sound aspect of it.
This film is not complete. Me, I refuse. I refuse. It is not possible. This is a rough cut. He has shown rough cuts to festivals. He's finishing a cut. It will even have better visual effects. Me, I believe that this guy has his shit together.
Yeah, but I believe he's a good director. At least he has something to say. Like, the thing again I liked about this story was, compared to most of the other films, which are probably like genre things, this was something that was also a bit historic. Because again, you said there's Devil's Chest. So to say something like, because usually we're going, probably in a few years, we're going to see a big Hollywood movie about Kony being made, and see someone doing it now before, even if it's not on that level of probably production value, but see someone trying to tell that story of Kony from a Ugandan perspective was good to see.
Considering we have 2 movies in this year, I think there's a Kony renaissance
probably, now. In Uganda,
yes.
Going to be a few.
Do you have any more to say?
Yeah, like, I don't know, probably, as you said, like, since the thing was called Order from Above and they kept going on about all that Lord's resistance, the Holy Spirit, you know, 10 Commandments. It would have been good if, I don't know, they showed us. Because actually I thought I was going to see how, like, you know, Kony became Kony. You get? Because, you know, like, there's that whole history, like, of the time they began. It was not only Kony, there was also Alice Lakwena, you know, all those people. Chiwete. It was a bad time in Uganda. There was all this religious fanaticism stuff going on.
Yeah.
So now that's when I was hoping to see how maybe Kony could have been some other guy and he was converted into this warlord wanting to take on this cause of liberating Uganda in the name of the Holy Spirit. But that was completely not the case. And maybe next time, I'm hoping maybe if someone makes another movie of Kony, maybe they should actually show us how Kony... Yeah, they could show us how Kony actually became Kony, you know, like, we want to also know that because we know the man and what he did. We know, everyone knows that. But again, we want to see probably what made Kony, you get. That's something that would be nice in the film.
I know. Okay. Okay, now we discuss all the other films we saw in the theater. Some we saw halfway and couldn't keep going. I saw 2 others from beginning to end. But I need to warn again, anyone who ever goes for the festival, never watch. Just pick out the films in the best film category only. There's actually 2 options for best film, because there's best feature film, then they do film of the year, but usually they just pick like 4 out of those in best feature film and put them in film of the year. I've never understood why they do that.
I think one of the awards actually goes to the director. I think it's the director's award. I'm just not sure which one it is.
One of them, then the other goes to...
one I think is like for the film itself, like to the
probably best film of the year.
Then I think best feature film goes to like the director.
Yes. So look at those films in that category. Watch them only. Because any film we drifted out of that category was something. It was unwatchable. It was completely unwatchable, even by the same filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because, please say his name, the guy.
It's called Dhikusooka Denis.
Dhikusooka Denis had about three films in the festival.
Battle for Earth, Hustle, and Damage.
So you got a glimpse of the 3, right? And didn't the one that was nominated make a bit more sense? Yeah.
Hustle. No, it was Hustle. Hustle, yeah.
Hustle made more sense.
And I'm also not sure which order he made them, because at least maybe you could tell there was some growth, I think. Because from Battle for Earth, where it was more sci-fi and all that, it was not good. Then you see, as in at least the other 2 films, you could even see, even if Damage was also not good, you could see he had improved a lot.
Timothy, Damage was bad. Damage.
No, but I think Damage was bad.
Energy out of me.
Damage was bad in the sense that it was like, you know, the most cliche Ugandan film you can ever imagine, of like this guy in campus with all these girls who is banging on the side and he has a babe, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Maybe that was why it was bad and it was cliche. So those are movies usually you just switch off on. But then,
so first tell me about Battle for Earth. What was the plot in Battle for Earth? Because you saw like an hour of it.
An hour. I don't know if it was an hour, but anyway, Battle for Earth, it begins with this very big grand prologue whereby they are talking about how some chick has powers. Actually, I think it's a group of people, and she's the only person who can stop an alien invasion that's going to happen. So there are a lot of things that were weird with that film. Because for one thing, I saw stormtroopers. I was like, Judge Lucas should come and sue people for this shit. There was a xenomorph from Alien. I was like, oh my god. Anyway, the visual effects, I won't say that they were bad. Like
I saw a glimpse of them.
Yeah, they're pretty much like the same level of Wakaliwood. You know, we like Wakaliwood movies, and it's pretty much the same level.
Yeah.
But
that xenomorph didn't look bad, although it was dancing to reggae.
There's a scene where it's dancing to Bob Marley music in his spaceship. Like, I didn't understand that. But anyway, Battle for Earth, I like that there are Ugandan filmmakers who are that ambitious, you know, because if everyone is going to make, you know, these dramas, these sort of home dramas with the maid and all that, then the industry won't develop. So many people who have the ambition, and I'll commend him for having that ambition. It's just the execution which I had a problem with, because even the story itself was dragging. The way it was shot also, it was very off. Like there was a scene when I think it was like they were trying to follow like a person walking like on stairs and walking down them, but you could really feel like the tripod stand, the head had been tied too tight. So like when the guy would move the camera, you'd really see the vibration like in the image also. Every time he would turn
has that problem even in Hustle. It's shaky cam entire film.
I think it's his cinematographer. No, shaky cam, I saw it in Hustle. Maybe it works for like the fight scenes.
I don't think he was doing it for. He wasn't doing it for fight scenes. Like people were walking on the road, and the camera was shaking. So there was a problem.
So I think maybe his cinematographer he has to put in some more work in that. But then I like that he did a genre film, sci-fi. It had all these grand ideas. Then even like Earth had two moons, which you could see like from, like in Star Wars you can see like two other moons like on a planet. It was the same thing as I know like, and even his grading was like to the whole sci-fi thing. It was that bluish look and everything. So at least he had the ambition, and I'll commend him for that. But the film itself, I won't say it was great to watch. I didn't finish it. The other film movies we saw was what again? That was Hustle.
Let me talk about Hustle, because I saw Hustle from the beginning to end. So Hustle is a gangster flick. It's about campus girls and boys. They're like a gangster group. They're hustlers. That's it. They're really big hustlers. So the film starts with them plotting. He actually has a cold opening. I think this boy watches a lot of movies. He does watch a lot, because he has a cold open, and it's two girls walking across the street, and one of them is robbed. But the second girl is part of them, like she's part of the crew. So they rob the girl. Then we find out they've robbed her tuition. So it was planned out.
It was planned.
And this chick betrayed her because she told them this chick has tuition. So that cold open happens. Then they go through credits. He had some interesting credits. He did do.
How were they?
They were. Did you see the end credits? You didn't see the end credits. It was just the color scheme he had. It was black and white-ish, and then he like would do the focus of a gun. You know that red thing where you focus on a gun. Then the target of a gun would have it on the face of one of the characters. Then on the side he would have a red bloody thing of their name, and it was moving in interesting ways. I'm like, oh, this is cute. He has really put effort. So this boy must watch a ton of films.
Because I think he tries to employ genre, at least in those two films. The other one,
completely. Because he's really employing genre in this, because these are gangsters, and he even puts the whole family thing. Although he did it badly.
Again, even another thing I saw is that in his pursuit for genre, I think again even his actors, he tries to push them to act a particular kind of way, the way you've seen probably movies you get, which again came off like if you watch Battle for Earth and you see it, like you can really see the way, like when someone is like on the computer, like say Avengers, you're talking to people who are somewhere else, that kind of thing, and they're trying to like talk all cool American, which just seems really not Ugandan and fake, and even the post accents are not
un-Ugandan.
So that was a problem I saw. Like in his pursuit, he tried to maybe Americanize things a bit, and
I wonder if I would probably have that problem. But he's being over-influenced.
Again, that's another thing I was going to talk about later. Like, I don't know, language in our films. I think after I've watched, I think I understand like using English. It makes some actors' performances completely. There's an authenticity when a person speaks. When you hear a person speaking in their mother tongue,
it's and very authentic.
You get, and then they're trying to speak in English in the Queen's language and all that. So I think it's something even his film could have probably been better if it was say in Uganda, because performances would be a lot more natural, you get. So that's something people should.
That English thing, even people who you see are English speakers every day. They just translate weird on the screen.
And I think it's because we've watched so many like Western movies, and we now know what those movies are. So when a person is trying to like pull off a similar scene in English, and in the Ugandans, it's just not the same. You get.
It doesn't work.
So that's something people actually need to look at, and the language you use in your film, because I don't think you see a French film, or like even you saw the Kony film. Was it in like Acholi?
Yeah, it was mostly in
Actually, almost all of it.
Very few scenes in English, and it did really well.
Exactly.
At least do mix it, but mix it and
yeah.
have the local language be the dominant language.
Because
maybe
it really helps. It helps with the actors' performance because they are more comfortable speaking their lines and portraying the emotion.
Oh, I forgot to say. Tim is a director, so he knows this stuff.
Man.
Anyway, so like I said, they're hustling. So we see the story of these people. Then they want to do their last deal. It reminded me of Italian Job badge. Like, we've done our deal, but then guys are like, this is our last deal. Fine. But some want to leave, others don't want to leave. So that's when we begin to see these people's separate lives. One of them is a couple. Another one has a little sister and she has a family to take care of. One of the boy leaders has a girlfriend at school, and those are mostly the main characters. Halfway there's some gangster chick that comes. I don't think I'll talk about, but you saw her. I saw some random gangster chick who was dressed skimpily all the time. She had
smoking a cigarette.
And she
was smoking the cigarette badly. Like, it didn't even look. It just didn't look right. I was like, man.
Oh my god. Anyway, the story mostly focuses on the chick who has a boyfriend. She was called Christy, actually. The chick who has a boyfriend because she really wants to leave, and she has this whole conundrum where she still she wants to leave the main group, but she still schemes to have a robbery with the other chick with the family. And it causes some whole ruckus where the main guy is angry. I really think I may have not picked up the plot so well, but he gets angry with her and calls her over and forces one of the chicks to call her over, or he will kill her daughter. Like, why didn't translate is, why can't you go and look for her and just talk to her? It's not like she's hiding, but he threatened the life of the other chick's sister. That's not the child. Her little sister. The other chick's little sister, because of something like that. That's why I'm like, are the stakes higher than I've really known? But he does that and calls her over and rapes her.
There's a rape scene in the movie.
You don't actually see it, but we first find out. The chick first tells him, "I know you have AIDS." He's like, "Yes, I have AIDS, so I have nothing to lose." Then she's like, she just resists, and he's like, "Now I'm real going to give you AIDS." He doesn't say that, but he then,
what does he say?
He just says, I think now I'll like ruin your life forever, something like that. What kills me about the rape scene is where it happens. We're outside. It's like at an electricity pole where you have the view of the city. There's I think I saw it's like a rural area. You don't really see people passing around, but it's broad daylight on the street. And then he just unzips his pants and she actively says, her boyfriend shows up and he says he raped me, so he raped her. Then that's when the film turns into a revenge story, because now the chick goes on revenge. Before she goes on her revenge, this someone comes and shoots the chick who has a sister. I can't remember who or why, but someone comes and shoots her. Then the most dramatic thing happens. The sister comes over to, like, I think maybe they were together, and then she's walking away sad because she has just seen her sister dead, and a taxi comes and knocks her. In that moment, there was the worst visual effect error I've ever seen, because the wall moves.
And the wall behind.
The wall behind does a random movement. So there was a bad visual effects error in that exact moment of punching. So the scene where you and Nick walked in to watch the film, is when you see that little sister has been knocked. And you see the lead character who had a boyfriend, she has no real connection with that little girl. She even wasn't friends with the sister. But then the film makes it so emotional at the end. Actually, it rides entirely on her emotion. It's the closing last image of her emotions, depressed that this kid has died. She didn't shed a tear for that girl dying. They didn't even show us the scene of her finding the girl or the dead sister. So that scene made no sense. You see, this guy is really playing with genre, but things are not really tying together well. That was one of the best films. One of the best films we saw. I really think I think all those films that are nominated for best film, they have something to them. They really have something to. It's a shame I've seen only 3. I would have wanted to see all of them. They have something. This festival is so much better than last year's. I can't say that enough. Way better experience. Let me talk about the last film I saw. Then maybe you can tell us a glimpse of Omugole.
The masterpiece.
The third film I saw was called The Torture. I saw it today morning. And it's what you'd expect it to be. It's about torture. It's by Mulindwa Richard.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, he won. Didn't he win? I think he won Best Film and Best Director last year.
Oh, really?
I think in total, probably last year, he's the one who took the most money
He's
from
the guy of Freedom.
Freedom, yeah. So he's the guy who...
I'm glad I've seen a film of his. Anyway, so The Torture is about a jealous ex-boyfriend torturing his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend. And it's a very typical Ugandan story. It's a guy who had a lot of money who's dating a girl on campus. I can't say this enough. Stories of campus girls are not lacking in this industry.
There are too many.
There are actually too many, and they need to be stopped.
Yeah.
Because they're really, really looking so badly on these girls, and it's always the dudes doing this story, so it's coming from the guy's angle. Anyway, so he's an older guy. He has a lot of money. He's living with her. So his jealousy has come up to this place because he used to spend so much on her. He used to pay her tuition. He used to buy her a lot of things. He would even help her mom. We find out all those while he's torturing her. And then she starts seeing someone else. They keep dating back to this graduation day. He keeps saying, like, on graduation day, how could you do that to me? I think her showing up with this boy. And he's a pretty boy. they cast
the guy, the main guy?
No. The guy she went back to. Yeah. So the whole story is mostly about him really torturing her. This chick has a very good crying face. That was the best thing about it. She has very good reaction to the torture. And because, we're not seeing the torture, so they're basically not doing it. But she has a very believable... I didn't pick up her name. I don't see the image for Best Actress nominees. So I hope she's one of them, because she did a really good job. She was the best thing. And the best thing about it is how different she looked from when she was being tortured and when they flashback. Not exactly flashbacks, but they go back to the scenes before of them when they were happy. She's very different things, and he did a good job of even making her hair different. These people, like in Hustle, someone would have a big blowout, and then I think they would forget to put the blood back on them.
Yeah.
Those continuity issues, he doesn't have those issues through this film. There's no issue, even with the blood scenes. Like, if blood is here, it will stay there.
Yeah.
He changes his shirt, he remains the same. Those errors were not there. This guy
he was competent.
He's competent. He really has something to him. Yeah. So... But anyway, long story short, we go through the whole torture. They do callbacks of their relationship. Then the pretty boy comes and saves her. But he's killed. Although, one thing I have to point out, which was my biggest problem with this thing. So the pretty boy is killed, but then as soon as he's dead, police, they show the aftermath scene, like her coming out, them imprisoning him, her coming out and crying herself to tears. We don't know who called the police or if he came with the police, but my issue is they did an audio. That audio, what's the thing that
the recorder,
the walkie-talkies, when police people are talking.
Oh yeah, those radio call things.
But there were white people voices.
Over the phone.
Over
the call thing.
Like, how someone like this and this and this has
over
been...
then and speaks again.
Oh yes. They were white people voices, so they picked them from the internet and put them there as a background thing. They didn't. They could have
recorded that.
And
stuff.
I remembered Gary had a scene where someone was recording. It's like a radio voice. You just need it to sound like a radio thing. Yeah. It's actually just the sound of a radio.
Yeah, you just actually can even if you can put a filter on, like, just
you can just
dialogue and to have that.
Just to have that effect, but it was white people voices and them saying white things. Oh my god, it took me out of the moment completely. But otherwise, solid film.
Okay.
Solid film. What were the other films you saw?
The first one I saw, actually, the very first, when I went there Tuesday morning at Akashi, actually, was Omugole Mumatiga. I think that's the title. I don't know if my Uganda is good. I think it's Bride in Conflict or something, the translation. Or Bride in Crisis. So, like, when I enter this thing, like, at first I thought they were, like, showing somebody's Kwanjula. Like, it looked like, a real, a videographer thing. Like, someone just recorded an actual event. Then I first sat down and I began watching. And then I actually began seeing the comedy in this shit. technically, I won't say it's a polished film because, as I've said, it was like, you know, a wedding thing basically. But the story, because the whole idea was basically it was surrounding. It was about this whole Kwanjula thing people have to do. Yes. It's very prominent in our culture here in Uganda.
Yes.
So it's basically a Kwanjula with, you know, that comedic twist. They just try to find they just try to put comedy into anything they can. Like, say if the chicks who are like, you know, they bring out babes, like say, like I think in Baganda or even the West.
Yes, they bring out babes
like first to walk and you know, first come, then it says was can go. The bride is not here. So like these babes would just be dancing weird stuff. Like it was off. Then even the dialogue between, like, you know, usually like an interpreter, you know, someone who is representing this family. Then they're like, that family sits that side, these guys sit here, then they keep talking back and forth. And guys were just cracking jokes and it was just very weird. But the thing I liked about it was because this thing was actually, it was, I think maybe the guy had the idea, maybe he was trying to satirize, you know, this whole thing, like, you know, culture, basically Kwanjula, which is like, maybe that was the thing he was going for, because actually there's some parts which were legit funny, like people were just doing weird stuff. Imagine on your Kwanjula, they even bring like nurses from the hospital to come and confirm that you don't have like AIDS or syphilis or any of that stuff. It was just funny, So, of course, the movie, again, as I said, technically very weird. There's a part where I saw like the actual boom, the mic dipped into the frame. I'm like, God, like what's happening? Then the camera work also, even the editing. There's a part I could see where I think when they were rendering the whole video, the track basically, there was a gap. So like in the middle of the movie, you could see like there was a thing where like the software words, then the movie continues, and I was like,
we see the software words in Kony also, from above. Yeah. So
there was that issue, but as the first film watching, at least
how does it
I think
end?
It softened me.
Because you saw the ending.
Yeah, actually the whole ending thing actually just ends with the bride singing, but everyone else, like the people who had come from the girl side or the babe side, actually now have zibs with themselves. Like the babes who haven't been married yet, the ones who have zibs. It was just weird. And it was short. I think it was like 1 hour, probably 10 minutes or 1 hour only, but it was just Mugole Mumatiga. I think by some guy called Sharon Kuma, but production value wise it was not there. It was that probably guys just actually recorded an actual wedding where this Katemba happened, and they just made the film out of it. But anyway, I told you before that when I was reading about the festival before I went for it, they were saying, used to say that the people submitted 125 films, which I think is a lie. It's a lie. I don't think, because from what I've seen, like judging from the best stuff at the festival and the other stuff I've seen, like I don't think there are 125 films that were submitted, because honestly those couldn't have been the best of 125. I don't see the 125th film.
What are all those 100
I don't know what
films?
I think they lied, maybe, because even now, say a movie like Battle for Earth is an old film, because I think I first saw a trailer for that thing like in 2014.
Oh, really?
It was already out. I saw it like
so
a national theatre. So you
can submit at any time.
That's the thing. So I don't know how current, if these movies were made last year, this year, or if someone brought his movie from like 2011. Like, man, I've got a chance to enter a festival. Let me go and show guys my stuff, you know. I find the guys that made a movie since like 2009 and is now. But anyway, that was one thing. I think the selection, I don't know if the people who are selecting are also competent enough. You may find there are like suits in UCC who are just,
they definitely
we don't have the guild.
Are
we don't have a guild, a proper
from
guild.
UCC.
Yeah.
But what do the suits appreciate?
Exactly.
And I think the suits go by the hype also. I think they'll just see what got the best reception.
Oh, I think connections. If you have, you know,
like,
this
I know
guy,
this guy.
yeah, he has
Mulindwa
made a film.
One last year, his thing
bring
must
another
be
film.
okay. Yeah.
Bring it, you get.
Yeah.
So I think they should. And even another thing I was going to say, like they invest. The festival is good and they invest money, cash prize.
They
all
really
that.
invest some cash.
But again, you should do a bit more for actual filmmakers before the films even come to the festivals. Because I think
they're squeezing them even worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because they should actually really like try and. But
then this year they didn't show a film in the theater, the National Theater.
Yeah, that's again another.
That was weird. It's the Ugandan National Theatre.
Because again, UCC has always had this talk of, we want 60% Ugandan content on TV. We want, Ugandan films in the cinema. What are you actually doing? Like, you can't organize a festival. Okay, Ugandan films ruled Ugandan cinemas for 3 days, but then after that, tomorrow people are going to go back to their Hollywood movies. No one is ever going to probably watch a Ugandan film until next year. You get?
I wish they would tell these guys that they must let people premiere their things and at a subsidized price.
Yeah. It should be a must.
It should be a must, and it should be at a subsidized.
Multiple locations. Like, if you're going to premiere, you can actually organize to have Acacia, Cinemax. Also,
they should really set such rules. It makes no sense. You applaud yourself for 1 week of work.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Like, it's like your whole, basically, as a filmmaker in Uganda, your whole career, your whole year, all the work you've done, it's only these 3 days where you get some appreciation. After this, you go back and wait for next year. So UCC also, we appreciate the festival and all that, but they should also do a bit more to help filmmakers themselves, help them with their budgets, subsidize, help them push their movies out there, make sure their movies are on TV, not just in the cinema over a 3-day period in the middle of the year. You get? So that's something they should also look into. I don't think any of them listen to the podcast.
No chance. No chance. But for the record, this was a much better experience than the many times, the other 2 times that I've gone. The first time, I think I saw only 1 film because it was very annoying. You would go at the time that was located for the film and the theaters weren't showing the films. This time, they have the UCC people right there. The film started at the exact time that they're supposed to start. There's people keeping things in check. And now that I have my shit together, now I know which films to see. I'm no longer going and just seeing Omugole Matiga.
You go with a bit more focus.
You go with more focus, and the turn-up is much better.
But that's the weird thing. The promotion wasn't as much this year.
It wasn't as much.
Because I remember last year there was on TV. They advertised this.
And last year I was in the theatre alone for 2 of the films.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think maybe the industry is picking up.
Yeah, maybe people are beginning to pay attention to.
I have some regrets. I wish I had seen an Aaron Ziwa alone film.
Yeah, both of them.
Didn't see either. Breaking No Man in a Hole. I wish I had seen Over the Shadows. What?
Heartbroken Shadows.
Heartbroken Shadows. I wish I had seen Dawn of Oppression. I wish I had seen Devil's Chest. That's my biggest regret, actually. Because I met someone who was on the production and they had a lot of interesting stories about it. Okay, what else?
I think
that has been our episode. Thank you for listening. This is Cinema Red Pill. Oh, and it's our anniversary 1 year. This was fun. Watching the films was hectic. This made it all worth it. Thank you, Timothy. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Watch films, listen, everything.